Welcome to the Clique podcast. I'm Dani, a mindset and manifestation expert and founder of the Clique, a company that helps women overcome their fears and limiting beliefs to create a life and business that they love. Within this podcast, I will help you get clear on what you want, identify the blocks that are holding you back, transform your mindset and raise your vibration so that you can co-create magic with the universe. If you are looking to design a life that truly sets your soul on fire and manifest more success and abundance, then you are in the right place. Hello ladies! So it has been a while since I've created one of these solo episodes for you guys, and I'm so excited with the topic I'm going to be talking about today because it's something that's definitely come up a lot through my journey, and that is about overcoming a lack mindset. So to start things off, I just want to share a little bit more about what a lack mindset really is and why we want to be avoiding it. And it all really comes down to the law of attraction, where we call into our existence the things that we are thinking about, the things that we are focusing on. Wherever our energy is, we are attracting more of that type of energy into our lives. So when it comes to a lack mindset, a lack energy, if we are focusing on where we're experiencing lack, when we are thinking about how little we have of certain things, rather than calling that thing into our life, we're actually blocking that thing from coming into our existence. So let's take an example of this. Let's say that it is money that you're wanting to manifest more of. And you're thinking about all of the money that you want to receive and what you want to spend it on. And that excites you. But there's a part of you that keeps recognizing where you don't have that money yet. So maybe you're thinking about the things that you can't yet afford, the money that isn't yet in your bank account. And all of those thoughts are very much looking at money from a place of lack. So in terms of your energetic frequency when it comes to money, you're very much in that lack frequency, which of course is going to manifest and show up as more lack in your life. And I know this because for so long in my 20s, I was continuously focusing on a lot of things in my life from that place of lack. Not just money, but also my career, my relationships, myself. I was constantly feeling that I didn't have enough, that I wasn't enough, that I didn't have enough money, that my career wasn't enough. And what I saw play out in my physical world was just this same cycle, this same pattern of not enoughness. Okay, and we cannot manifest more from a place of not enough. So which is why it's so important to transform those feelings of lack, those thoughts of lack, transform that lack mindset, which is what I want to talk about a little bit more today. And I want to share with you some of the things that have really helped me that you can start integrating into your daily life. And the first thing is to just recognizing the abundance that is all around you right now, without you needing anything more in your life right now. There are so many things that there is an abundance of. You only have to take a step outside and be in nature to realize how blessed we are when it comes to the abundance of, let's say, the abundance of sky, the abundance of air, the abundance of sunshine. Maybe not in the UK all the time. The abundance of trees. When you step out into the world, what have you got to be thankful for? What are you already blessed with an abundance of? So often when it comes to abundance, we think about the things that we want that we don't have yet, and we completely overlook all of the things that we currently have in our life, the abundant things that we have to be thankful for. So what do you have an abundance of right now? Maybe it's abundance of friends. Maybe it's an abundance of, amazing family members. Maybe it's an abundance of time. Whatever it is, start paying more attention to that, okay? Start talking about these things because your words have power. Your words have energy. So if you're talking about, if you step outside your house in the morning, let's say you're going onto your daily commute, and typically you're heading to a job that you don't like and you're thinking to yourself, I wish I didn't have to go there. Oh, I wish I was in my dream business right now, or my dream career, or I wish I was lay on the beach somewhere. Anywhere but here. Again, you're talking about things from a place of lack. I want to be over there, but I'm not, I'm here. It's that sort of gap between where I am and where I want to be. That lack mindset. Whereas if you step out of your house and you start to pay attention to, wow, like the air feels so amazingly crisp, how incredible it is to be able to breathe this abundance of air into my lungs each day. You know, maybe you are walking to, I don't know, like your local train station and it's like a beautiful scenic walk to get there. Like, are you paying attention to that? What are you focusing on? And as I said, like, speak those things into existence. You know, you could think about those things, but if nobody's around you, how about starting to say those things out loud? I am so blessed. Abundance is all around me. Wow, like it's so amazing that, you know, I've got such an abundance of beauty when I step out of my house in the morning. You know, maybe it's an abundance of dogs. Maybe you commute your walk to your train station or whatever, however you get to work, you see loads of amazing dogs and you start to recognize that there's an abundance of dogs all around me. Start to pay attention to those things. So we want to pay more attention to the abundance that we do have. And what we want to do when it comes to the lack is we want to start burying our heads in the sand a little bit more. We want to start avoiding looking at the lack. Now, this comes with a bit of a disclosure because there are times when we do need to face up to things, which I will talk about in a second. But so often when it comes to our worries or our fears or, you know, the things that we feel like we are lacking, we think about those things too much. It's almost like by keeping our worries or our fears close to us, you know, we can kind of keep an eye on them. But actually, when we keep things close to us by thinking about them, by thinking about that lack, we just call more lack in. So another example here, going back again to my financial situation when I was sort of in my 20s and I was accumulating a pretty significant amount of debt. Now, my initial response to the debt when I first sort of started to accumulate it was to think about it a lot, to worry about it a lot. It felt so heavy. It was kind of always on my mind. And of course, the debt started to accumulate and accumulate. Now, remember what I said. We can kind of get out of this lack mindset by almost just burying our head in the sand, forgetting about the lack that exists within our lives. But this is what I did. I completely ignored my debt and I just let it rack up. And I just let it accumulate and I just pretended like I didn't have all of these credit cards. I wouldn't even open up my bank statements. So this sort of mentality then of me just kind of completely avoiding the lack that I was experiencing didn't actually work for me either. Because it got to a point where things got so bad that I was like, wow, okay, how has this got like this? You know, how have I got myself in such a state? So I think what was happening here is that whilst I was burying my head in the sand, whilst I was avoiding things, I was also not taking financial responsibility either. And so there's a difference between completely just avoiding the lack that you're experiencing and then actually just being irresponsible about it. Because in that situation, there was something that I could be doing to be more proactive about my finances. Okay, I could have been taking responsibility for them. I could have been looking at my ingoings and outgoings each month. I could be recognizing, you know, where I was spending too much. I was spending, you know, irresponsibly beyond my means, and it was just getting out of control. I didn't do that. I completely avoided the situation. And so when I say bury our heads in the sand to, you know, avoid thinking about where we're experiencing lack, you want to be able to do this, but not to the extent that you avoid responsibility altogether. So for me, the solution was to bring everything to the surface first, take a big look at what was going on in my finances, what I needed to be earning each month to be able to actually start to be able to pay off my credit cards, but also to start making money within my business so that I could actually step away from my job. I started to get really clear on what I wanted to be earning financially, okay, what I wanted to be calling in. I started to think more about what I was spending my money on and asking myself, how is this serving my future self? Like, is this going to make my future self more wealthy, more abundant? Or is it just money that I'm spending right now to perhaps avoid the feelings that I'm feeling? Because a big part of why I was spending the way I was, because I just didn't feel great about myself, about my relationship, about my career. And I was avoiding dealing with those emotions through just spending anything on whatever and not really being thoughtful about it. Okay, so I spent some time just getting clear on my finances and really kind of connecting with, okay, what do I want to be making? What kind of money do I want to be calling in? But then once I did that process, once I took that financial responsibility, I then went back to burying my head in the sand again about the lack. Because by this point, there was no point in focusing on it. Just by thinking about the lack wasn't going to make it go away. Thinking about my debts wasn't going to make them go away. In fact, the opposite would be true. So once I got clear on the money I did want to receive, I started to focus on that money. I started to think about that money already being present. I started to show up and act and think as if I already had the money that I wanted. So very much showing up from that place of abundance rather than that place of lack. Now, the other thing that I loved to do was to really sort of shift my mindset when it came to spending money or handing money over. Often we're very much caught in the trap of when we pay for something or when we invest in something, we then get a little bit worried afterwards. The fear kicks in. Maybe you've experienced this before. Maybe you've purchased something and afterwards you feel that guilt or that resentment, or that fear. Maybe you've invested in yourself. Maybe it's through your business and it's quite a significant purchase. What's happening there is that you're experiencing that lack mindset because you're worried that I've spent this money and will I ever get it back? Will I make that money back? And getting into the habit of always believing the money that you spend is being replenished continuously is a great way to put yourself into the abundance mindset. And a phrase that I always use is, there's plenty more where that came from. So being able to hand over your money freely and easily without guilt, without fear, without worrying about whether it's ever going to come back. And every time you pay for something, smile and say, there is plenty more where that came from. I'm so excited to make this purchase. I'm so excited to make this investment in myself. And there is plenty more where that came from. A really fun game to play actually is to imagine yourself with a magic wallet, right? Where you have this wallet which is stuffed with a certain amount of cash for you to spend for that day. So pick a number. It could be £1,000. It could be £10,000. You know, what is the sum that you want to see within your wallet each day? And the idea is that is yours to spend. And there is absolute certainty that at the end of each day, that sum of money is going to be replenished. So you could do this with an imaginary wallet, or you could do it with your bank account. You know, every time you pay for something and money is deducted from your account, imagine that when the clock hits midnight that night, that exact same amount is going to be put back into your account. Okay, just kind of use the visualization process to imagine that happening every time you spend money. And say the words, there's plenty more where that came from. And I promise you that will really help you start switching into this feeling of, I've always got enough. There's always more available to me. My finances are always growing. Everything that goes out always comes back in. Remember that an abundance mindset is one of ease and flow, where things come in and things go out. When we're in a lack mindset, often we just want to hold on to things because we're so afraid if we let them go, we'll never get them back again. So maybe it's holding on to a relationship. Maybe it's holding on to that career. It's, your safety net. Oh, I don't want to let this career go because what if I never earn this type of money again? Maybe it's money that you don't want to spend because you're worried about making it back. That mentality is very much a lack mentality. An abundance mindset is where you let things go easily and freely, trusting that they're always going to come back into you. If we don't let things go, we can't allow more things to come in. You want to think of almost it like when you breathe. Let's say you take a really big, deep breath into your lungs. Do it right now. Fill your lungs up as full as they could possibly be. Now, realize that at that point, when your lungs are at full capacity, there's no more room for any more air. You have to let some of that air out to let more fresh air come back in again. It's exactly the same with things like money. You have to let things go to let things back in. It's this process of ease and flow, of in and out, of come and go, okay? It's getting into that rhythm. And once you're in that rhythm, seeing abundance come in and out is just easy. You know, it's just natural. It just goes, it just flows. And it's such an amazing process to watch. You know, that's when people say about making money can be easy. This is what they're talking about. It's this ease of receiving and letting go, receiving and letting go. There's plenty more where that came from. Whatever I spend always comes back to me. And it always comes back to me tenfold. Something that I've definitely realized is that when I've invested in myself, when I've invested in my business and I've let that money go, it has always come back to me 10 times, 100 times over than what the initial outlay was, okay? So, you know, don't just think I'm going to get this back and it's going to be the equal, because more often than not, what you get back is even bigger and better than what you had previously. You know, and I've seen this not just with with money. I've seen it with relationships as well, where I've been afraid to let go of a relationship because I think, well, what if this is the best it's ever going to get? Again, it's that fear and lack mentality. But when you are brave enough to let something go, the universe recognizes that courage and sets about to give you something even more, something that's way more aligned with you, something that's really serving your highest vision. Because what you're showing the universe is, I trust you, I have faith, I am willing to, you know, let go of the ropes a little bit. And I trust that you're gonna make things all work out for me. You're remembering that this is a process of co-creation. Okay, the universe is there by your side to support you, but you've got to be able to let go a little bit to allow more in. Now, something else that really supported me was to really feel into the presence of what I wanted rather than its absence. And again, this is often down to how we perceive things, how we perceive our desires. Often we look at our desires from a place of lack. I don't have that yet. I would really love to have that. Rather than, this is already mine, okay? How many of you, when you think about the things that you want in your life, maybe it's money, maybe it's more travel, maybe it's the relationship, you think about those things and you say to yourself, I'd love for that. I'd love more of that. If you already had that, would you be saying that? Would you be thinking that? Of course not. If you already had that, you'd be saying, this is so amazing that I've got this already in my life. So when you are looking at your desires from a place of wanting, longing, hoping, wishing, what you're essentially saying is, I don't have this yet. So you're feeling into its absence rather than its presence. We can change the lack mindset by changing how we perceive our desires. By thinking about our desires from a place of, this is already mine. I already have this. And this is where you can get really playful with things. So an example of this was back before I didn't have a home that I wanted to live in. I was very much living in a place where, you know, didn't necessarily set my soul on fire, and was very much far removed from my dream home. I wanted that dream home. I wanted to live in a home that really raised my vibration, that was beautiful, that felt really spacious, that just felt really high vibe, which was a really great place to work from. I wanted those things. And for a while, I was very much thinking about that desire from a place of lack, because I was thinking about, I wish I had that because I don't have it yet. I wish I didn't have to be in this crummy flat. I wish I had that amazing apartment all to myself. So very much in that lack mindset. But what I started to do is I started to become a product of my imagination. So when I thought about the beautiful house that I wanted, I would think about it as if that was already mine. And so you can do this, and it might be something, if you're not used to doing, it can feel a little bit strange to begin with. But I want you to start living in your head a little bit more. If the reality that is in front of you is not what you want to see, start to live in your head a little bit more. So I would get out of bed in the morning, and rather than looking at what was in front of me, at the time, I'm going back now to sort of right at the beginning of my business. My partner and I, I've spoke about this before, we shared this flat, which is a perfectly nice flat, but we shared it with way too many flatmates. We lived in the living room. We didn't even have a proper bed. We didn't have wardrobes. All of our stuff was just piled up in this room. It would get messy very, very easily because we didn't have anywhere to store all of our stuff. It was just a bit of chaos. I could choose in a morning to get up and I could focus on the chaos. I could focus on the mess. What good would that do me? Or I could step into my imagination and imagine myself stepping out of my beautiful super king size bed onto my beautiful parquet wood floor or whatever it was, and walking through my beautiful room, going into my beautiful ensuite bathroom. So as I was walking through my life, mentally, I was somewhere else. Now, it obviously helps here if you are if you have got a vivid imagination. And often this is something that we lose as we become adults. As children, we're really good at this. I watch my daughter, I watch her playing, and she could be playing with something really small, but she creates this whole sort of fantasy world around it. They're very, very good children at seeing beyond the physical world and being a product of their imagination. And as adults, we can learn a lot from this because it's exciting, it's fun. Who wants to be stuck? If where you're living is not where you want to be, who wants to focus on that even more? And remember, when you do focus on it, you call more of that into your existence. So try this out, just try it out for, the next time you walk into a space. Do you want to be walking into that space? Or do you want to imagine yourself walking somewhere else? Where would you like to be right now? You could be in you could be in a bathtub. You could be closing your eyes and you could be in a really crummy bathroom. Maybe the tiles are old and dated. There's lots of limescale. It doesn't feel the most luxurious bathroom in the world. But what happens when you close your eyes and you feel that water on your skin and you imagine that you're in this deep, sumptuous, luxurious bath, with beautiful marble tiles, your dream bathroom? You can have that experience, even if it's not your current reality, just by using your imagination a little bit more. And what happens when you're doing this, you're not just having fun with it. What happens is you're saying to your subconscious mind, this is already mine. Remember, your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between what you imagine and what is actually real. So if you are thinking about the luxurious bathroom, you're telling your subconscious mind, this is already mine. And our physical world becomes a product of our subconscious mind. Whatever we tell our subconscious, whatever is happening within our subconscious, starts to show up in our physical reality. It may not happen overnight, but it will eventually. Okay, so stepping out of that lack mindset by focusing on the abundance of what's within your reality right now, by looking at your reality through the lens of your imagination. Okay, that is going to help you create your wildest dreams. And I know that, it sounds cheesy, and I know that sometimes it seems a little bit far-fetched, but I promise you, these are the things that have really, really worked for me, and the things that I still do to this day. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is noticing the energy from which you are acting. Often when we're stuck in a lack mindset, we are acting from a place of fear, panic, desperation. We are frantic. We are responding to things and reacting to things without just taking things easy, without just going with the flow, allowing things to be joyful, easy, effortless, calm, acting from that place of love, which is when we're very much in that abundance mindset. So a really good example of this, and I see this play out often with some of our students, our Clique Academy students who are training to become coaches and who are building up their business. They get stuck in the lack mindset and they're very much acting from this place of fear, panic, desperation. Maybe it's because they're at the beginning of the journey and they so desperately want to leave their job, and they want to start making money within their business. They want to become a coach and say goodbye to a job that they don't love. And because of that, because they're so much wanting to get over there and they're focusing on well, I'm not there yet. I need to be there. I need to be out of this job and I'm not there yet. They start to act from that place of fear, panic, desperation. And this often stems from feelings of not enoughness. I don't have enough yet, but also I am not enough yet. And they feel like they have to prove themselves through working hard, through doing more, through showing up more. They get caught up within the hustle. And that type of energy is very much a lack mindset. Because if you trusted and if you fully believed that all of the abundance was available to you and you didn't have to push for it, would you be pushing for it right now? You wouldn't. So that pushing, that forcing for things, it happens because we don't believe we can have whatever we want with ease. Okay, so abundance is not just receiving everything that we want. For me, true abundance is receiving everything that we want in the way that we want to receive it. For me, it's not an abundant life to, be super, super wealthy, but be super stressed out and burnt out through the process of making money. That for me is not an abundant life. An abundant life is where I have an abundance of everything that I want. So an abundance of money, an abundance of time, an abundance of joy, an abundance of relaxation, an abundance of time with my family, an abundance of time to travel. I want to have an abundance of all of those things. So take a step back and take a look at the energy from which you are acting. Do you tend to, when it comes to your desires, do you tend to approach them from that place of panic, desperation, or, that I need to get there right now? That sense of rushing towards something? Or are you just relaxed and going with the flow? Are you just trusting the process? Are you just allowing things to be? Are you allowing yourself to have joy along the way? Which energy are you resting in? Because that's a really telltale sign about whether you're operating from a lack or an abundance mindset. And if you are operating from that lack mindset by being frantic, how can you start to just trust the process a little bit more? Enjoy the process a little bit more, have fun a little bit more, without getting so caught up on where you're going that you're forgetting to be here in the now and to just enjoy the now. So I hope this all made sense to you guys. It's been really amazing actually recording this solo episode. I've definitely missed them. It's been lovely, 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 obviously, connecting with our students from the Clique Academy. But I love just being able to share what's on my mind with you and just to share my wisdom. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, and if you are loving this podcast, don't forget to leave me a review on iTunes. It would really, really mean the world to me. If you are on Instagram, come along and say hello to me there. You can find me at Dani_Watson_coaching. Come and say hello. Drop me a DM if you have any recommendations of things, topics you would like to hear on this podcast. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I will catch you on the next episode. If you are wanting to build your own successful online coaching business, make sure to check out Freedom, Abundance and Impact, our free 10-day business and mindset course for coaches and aspiring coaches. To access, simply head to wearetheclique.com and click free course in the menu.